Okay, let me introduce you to Salustra, and we've actually 25 active ingredients in the product. The main ingredient, of course, is L-Arginine, and we use two different forms of L-Arginine. And the reason we do this is for the biggest impact of creating nitric oxide in the system. With the L-Arginine, we actually use 5 grams in each serving. So each sachet has 5 grams of L-Arginine when you combine the two different forms of L-Arginine that we use. Again, this is going back to the research that if you have 5 grams in each serving, in each sachet, it makes the amount of nitric oxide that's needed to do the proper work. And when I say proper work, for cleaning the arteries, for putting the flexibility back into the arteries, and the same with the heart, the muscle of the heart, to get the flexibility back into it. It's quite amazing to see. There is an amino acid, L-Arginine, and it's amazing to see a natural ingredient that has such an impact on people's cardiovascular health. So again, the workings of it is another amino acid, L-citrulline. And L-citrulline is just as important because it holds onto the nitric oxide long enough for it to work in the arteries. So in other words, if you just took L-Arginine by itself, it would have a certain impact on your blood pressure, but it wouldn't have the impact in the arteries and the heart that is needed. So the L-citrulline, what it actually does is it holds onto the nitric oxide long enough to work in the artery. So you get the maximum amount of nitric oxide, but then the amount of time that's needed for it to work really well in the system. So the L-citrulline and the L-Arginine, they work together, and by that is why we have 1 gram of L-Arginine towards 5 grams 1 gram of L-citrulline towards 5 grams of L-Arginine. That's the proper quantity for the product to create nitric oxide synthesis, which again is another part that creates the energy in the whole system of nitric oxide. Again, the combination of the two and the percentage the ratio I should say of them, is what the research all points to of having the most impact on putting the cardiovascular health back to its proper health. And that's why we've used the amount and the quality of the two ingredients to get the best results for people. Again, another amino acid that's in the product is L-Arginine, and its job is really to create energy in the heart. It's to give the maximum energy. So when you clean the heart and arteries, again, we're putting energy back into the heart, so the heart can actually function to its best. And that's really the role of that. Some of the other ingredients in it, as I said, the L-Arginine is there to support. We've got L-glutamine, which again supports the energy. It supports power, I suppose, in the body is the best way to put it. Again, L-carnosine is another amino acid, and again it's to support the active workings of the nitric oxide in the body. The D-robust is very fascinating. It's a lovely ingredient, and it's a simple sugar. Now, it doesn't affect people with diabetes, it's not that type of sugar, but it plays a huge role in us as we change the cardiovascular health and to create a sort of a higher energy throughout the body. The D-robust is there, really I suppose it works in every fibre, every cell of the body. So think about it, it's working in every part of the body. We make it naturally, but we're very slow to make it. So if we're under a lot of stress, we're training very hard, we tend to burn it up, and the body doesn't catch up with the amount that we need. And this is the reason that we put it in the product, was to create an overall energy right down to the fibres, right down to the cellular level of the body. And again, it's there to support the change in the cardiovascular health as an overall an overall building and foundation for the actual system. A lot of people know the next ingredient. It's very well known. It's CoQ10, and CoQ10 again it's for the electricity of the heart. Again, it won another Nobel Prize. So you have 2 Nobel Prize winning ingredients in the Salustra. Its job is, again, it's used, dentists use it for getting rid of gum disease, but for our product here, we have it for the electricity of the heart, so that we're getting the maximum amount of communication, electricity, so the heart is able to function very strong. It means, again, the blood can pass through more efficiently in the system. Alpha-lipoic acid, very bright yellow, a little bit of silver bling in it, and it's a product that helps with the repair of the nerve endings. Again, it works, it can be quite slow by itself, but when it's connected with the nitric oxide and driving more oxygen into the body, it carries the alpha-lipoic acid more efficiently right through the system and into the nerve endings. So we noticed with people with diabetes that their numbness in their fingers, their hands, decreases and helps to repair it much more efficiently. With the workings of the nitric oxide, not to have it pulled off into different areas like getting rid of free radicals, oxidative damage, one of the ingredients that we put in was pine bark extract. Within pine bark extract there's probably about 40 different antioxidants, and it has quite a lot of information to back up its help with the function of the heart. But in this product, what we've really used it for is to get rid of the free radical, the oxidative damage in the body, so that the nitric oxide can travel through into the pathway that it's meant to, in for the cardiovascular health, and also into the arteries. So again, it's used for that. So indirectly, the product, when you look at it, it has a huge collection of antioxidants. And antioxidants, again, clean up all this oxidative damage. Best way to describe oxidative damage is that the body becomes stiffer, harder, so nothing can function as well as it should. It's lost its flexibility, whether it's your artery, whether it's your vein, and even the little tubes going into the back of your eye. With high levels of oxidative damage, it all has lost its flexibility. So the idea of it is that we put the flexibility back into it. So when you see the range of antioxidants as we go through the product, you'll get an idea that it's actually protecting you from major illnesses as well, because it's indirectly cleaning up all the oxidative damage in the body, as well as other toxins. We will talk about them as we go along. Yeah, after the pine bark extract, I suppose octocosnal was an amazing find. I was so delighted to find it, and it creates to drive more oxygen into the artery. So this really speeded up our product for us. The Salustra powder could actually work more efficiently when we added this ingredient into it, and it drives more oxygen into the artery, so that the nitric oxide can actually get rid of plaque, calcification, and any foreign body that shouldn't be in our arteries. So it helps really to speed up the performance of the nitric oxide. Again, the more you can drive oxygen into any part of the body, the more you can detox, and the more you can carry good nutrition in to the system, so you have a much more efficient body when you've got more oxygen travelling through the system. And that's partly the design of the product to achieve that for people. The next ingredient I want to talk about is magnesium, and I absolutely love magnesium because I've seen such amazing results from the mineral. It's so important, and so many of us are lacking in magnesium. It's probably one of the biggest minerals that we're actually lacking in. Magnesium and calcium, they compete for the same areas in the body, so they create a sort of a higher absorption because they're competing. But a lot of people can have too much calcium in their body, and when you have too much calcium, again, it binds everything. It makes everything so much more solid in the system, and that's why people then start to lose flexibility out of their muscle tissue. Magnesium, sports people see a huge difference in their flexibility. We were working with a group of dancers, Irish dancers, really very fit, very dedicated to their profession, and it made such a difference for them for getting height that we could actually get the muscle to flex more. In this, it also helps with the heart, as it is a muscle, to put some flexibility back into the heart. So the heart is more flexible as you exercise. The heart can adjust quicker. For people just even going up hills, stairs, it makes such a difference to the flexibility. And really, as I said, it's one of the minerals we are low in, so we need it. It creates a nice ability for the body to have flexibility, really. Potassium, again, potassium would be used for normal blood pressure. But a lot of people that have heart problems or take heart attacks are really low in potassium. They haven't got enough potassium in the body, and potassium again is stored in every cell of the body. It's what creates the energy, but the potassium pump for Salustra, for the product, it's really there as a maintenance to keep your blood pressure normal. So as the product works at cleaning out and bringing back the cardiovascular health, potassium will maintain blood pressure at a really good level. The other antioxidant that there's several antioxidants, but the next powerful antioxidant after the pine bark is selenium. And we have 100% of our daily requirement of selenium in Salustra. And the reason for this is we don't get it in our vegetables or fruit anymore because it's not in our soil. And if you go back 50, 60 years ago, we had quite a rich soil of selenium, but because of intense farming, selenium levels have just diminished, and we're not getting enough selenium in our body. So selenium to me is vital for protecting us against radiation, and it's really important even for pregnant women to have enough selenium for even healthy children. So again, selenium is a powerful antioxidant. Again, it's there to get rid of the likes of oxidative damage like the pine bark extract. But we combine the two so that we get the maximum result of quickly reducing oxidative damage, because we don't want it to be taking a lot of time, because the product wouldn't work then efficiently as we want. So it's really there as a big hit to drive down the levels of oxidative damage so the nitric oxide can start working very quickly in the system. We have then a collection of B vitamins, and B vitamins have many different roles, I suppose, in the system, but again they're there to support the after work really of the nitric oxide, so that we're supporting the system with the proper amount of B vitamins, and again that just means that we're able to maintain and keep a good health to the cardiovascular system. Vitamin C is becoming much more known in its working within the artery wall, and but what we've mainly got the vitamin C and vitamin E in the product is for adrenal fatigue. So again, we know that if people are suffering with adrenal fatigue, the nitric oxide will be pulled off to deal with that and not be as efficient where we want it to work. So vitamin C and vitamin E in the Salustra product is really there to reduce and to balance oxidative damage, it's there to reduce the adrenal glands, so to balance the adrenal glands and allow them to function properly in the system, so the nitric oxide can be busy doing what we want it to do. K27, there's different forms of K2, and K27 is probably the best form for working, and again it helps with like the clotting in the blood. But more importantly, what we have is in the product, is in the Salustra product, is for reabsorbing calcification out of the artery and back into the bone. So it has its clinical trial carried out over 2 years ago. It's finished, and it showed that K27 absorbs calcification into the bone. And again, calcification is one of the biggest problems we come across in people's arteries, and it's what, like 50% of heart attacks are sudden, and I really put that down to calcification, because it can explode in the artery, and most people don't get a second chance. So the K27 is a very intelligent to have it in the product, because it allows the product to break down the calcification, but it allows the K27 to reabsorb it into the bone. So there's our 25 active ingredients. I don't think there's a product out there that has so many ingredients and they all have their different jobs to do in supporting the nitric oxide, in maintaining good cardiovascular health even afterwards. So the product is really there to repair. Drive more oxygen into the body is the secret, but it's there to repair the system. So it's not something that masks, but it's actually something that cleans, rejuvenates, and brings the cardiovascular back to its health. I think if anyone is serious about their health, this is the product to take. Again, this product can have so many different benefits by getting oxygen into your kidneys, more oxygen into your brain, and not just even for your cardiovascular health. Again, it's important to follow the proper the way to take it, and again on the label we have stated very clearly the amount to take. Again, we do recommend that you take it, you know, with a good amount of water, because what the product breaks down, the water will eliminate out of the system. I don't recommend to take it with food because it gets too caught up and combined with food. You're better to have it separate from food. The ideal time to take it is before you do any exercise. Perfect time to take it, because as you exercise, your arteries are going to expand naturally. So it means that the nitric oxide, the Salustra, can actually work much more in the system. So I really are passionate, I suppose, about it, but haven't seen so many great results. I would recommend anyone to take Salustra.